Illinois had 0 wins. They were perceived as the worst team in the conference, and they ran all over us.
We're still improving, but it just kind of stings, I guess, to have this game kind of fall out from under us when we came into it favored to win.
The Dolphins and Bills are much stronger teams right now, and that's amazing to say that those two teams are better than the New England Patriots, the best dynasty that's sports ever seen.
Whenever something unexpected happens, we can just kind of chalk it up to 2020.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Keeping Score with Josh and Ray, a podcast show dedicated to bringing analysis of Rutgers sports and sports around the country. I'm Josh.
And I'm Ray.
And in today's show, we're going to recap Rutgers football's loss against Illinois, preview this week's matchup against Michigan, and discuss the NFL power rankings as they stand right now. So let's start with the Illinois game this past Saturday. Rutgers was favored to beat a Big Ten opponent for the first time in years going into the game. Illinois had 0 wins leading into the game. They were perceived as the worst team in the conference, and they did not play like the worst team in the conference. They ran all over us. The quarterback, Isaiah Williams, it was his first game starting. He's a freshman. He looked like, Michael Vick and Deshaun Watson combined. It was ridiculous. There's no run defense to speak of. Rutgers had a chance to win at the end, but Noah Vigil coughed the ball up. 3 interceptions in total. So that was a pretty disappointing loss.
Yeah. So Indiana's quarterback, Isaiah Williams, he had a really good game. He had 104 passing yards, which, of course, by itself is not anything spectacular at all. But rushing yards, he had 192. So, he played really well. And when you compare that to Noah Vigil, not so great. Vigil was 21 for 34. He had 256 yards, 3 interceptions, and again, not a good showing. I know that Schiano wants to stick with Vigil at quarterback. It's just kind of, I guess, disappointing to just watch him go out each week and not really put out any spectacular performances.
Yeah, I'll start with Isaiah Williams. So he had 31 carries, 192 yards, and a rushing touchdown, right? 6.2 yards a carry. He broke the Illinois record for quarterback rushing in one game. And I can't explain it. It's like he was not really a threat throwing the football. All they had to do was stop the run, and they just couldn't do it. And the thing is that the defense has been the strength of the team the whole year. This year, they just left the defense in their apartment. Like, I don't know what happened. It was like so strange. And not to mention, Chase Brown, Illinois running back, also had 131 yards of his own. So 338 total rushing yards for Illinois. That is unbelievable. I mean, wow. And then, Vigil, I just don't know at this point. I mean, he has like a couple good plays every game. In the first quarter, he had a nice touchdown pass to Bell Melton. He threw another touchdown pass, but you just can't turn the ball over 3 times. And it just goes to show that even though we turned the ball over so many times, we still almost won the game. The Illinois only won off a last-second field goal. So the game was so winnable. All they had to do was take care of the ball, take some time off the clock, maybe kick a field goal at the end. They would have been golden. The play calling was the issue. I think Vigil should not have thrown 34 passes. We should have given the ball to Pacheco and Kieran Adams. Kieran Adams only had 3 carries. Pacheco had 20, which is a good amount. But this team needs to rely on the running game, same as Illinois was. We're just not a passing team right now. We don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball effectively. Like, of course, we can make a change to Art Sikowski or whoever, or Langen, but they're not going to be that much better. So we just really need to be a running team. The defense is just like, they just can't do that. They cannot allow that many rushing yards, or else we're never going to have a chance of winning the rest of the season. So, yeah, we got some improvements on both sides of the football to make. But I do have faith because Schiano still has improved the team so much. I mean, the fact that we're competitive this year is just so much better than the previous years. So there's something to be said about that.
Yeah. I think you make a good claim there that we should start relying on the running game a little bit more. Pacheco did his part. He tallied 133 rushing yards. So, I don't really know how you can rely on Vigil anymore going forward. They have Michigan on Saturday at, I believe, 7:30. And, I'm going to look for them to just kind of rely on the rushing game a little bit more, even if the running game really isn't perfect or spectacular. But I guess it's certainly better than what the passing game can do right now. like you said, this game was winnable. I think that's something disappointing. And yes, Rutgers is still not a great team, and we're still improving, but it just kind of stings, I guess, to have this game kind of fall out from under us when we came into it favored to win.
These kind of losses are going to happen when you're a rebuilding team. It's just that when these losses do happen, they need to look at the tape and improve on it. And that I think Schiano is capable of that. I mean, Schiano is a legitimate football coach, right? Chris Ash is not. So with Ash, we had no chance for anything, whether it was winning or even recruiting good players, anything. Schiano has definitely turned the program around. We've been competitive in every game this season, even with Ohio State. And I'm going to look for them to play a much better run defense and to – I'm not going to say improve in the passing game because I don't think they can at this point. We don't have good enough quarterbacks right now. But just rely more on the running game and throw maybe not more than 20 passes. That's what I'd like to see. Now, going into Michigan this Saturday, prime time at home, we are not favored. Michigan's favored by about 7.5, 8 points. The thing with Michigan, right, is like usually they're a contending team. They're a solid program. They're awful right now. They just got destroyed last Saturday by Wisconsin. I think it was 49-11, so something like that. They're bad. They're a mess right now. And the fact that Michigan is still favored kind of shows how the football media still views Rutgers despite their improvements, and that's fair. I mean, we've been bad for so long. But I think we have a more than decent shot to win this game. Even the way we played last week, I am fairly confident just because of how bad Michigan is. And I think Schiano is going to really, really harp on, the improvements they need to make this week.
Yeah, both teams are 1-3 going into the game. So I think that Rutgers has a shot. It's just a matter of if they make the changes, like you said, if they rely a little bit less on Vidra and a little bit more on the running game. So those are definitely some things that we're going to have to look out for. But you know what? Hopefully they come out with a win. We'll see if Rutgers comes out of the game at 2-3 instead of 1-4. Also, just to have 2 Big Ten wins this season would be quite a step up from last season. I think that was, I could be mistaken, but I believe that that was one of the things we referenced in one of our first podcasts this semester, talking about our expectations for the football team and how many wins they could get. So, we'll see how that goes, but hopefully it goes well. Okay, so let's move on to some talk about the NFL. I think a good place to start is the NFC East. We had a couple games this weekend. We had an Eagles-Giants game, and also I believe the Washington football team played. Starting off with the Eagles-Giants game. Disappointing loss for the Eagles. It was a chance to elevate their standing in the NFC East. I'm kind of hesitant upon saying that because our elevate kind of implies that they're going to be a little bit successful. Obviously, they have not been successful this season. But, that was a tough loss for them. They didn't play great. The Giants ended up winning 27-17. Carson Wentz I don't know what to say about him. He just didn't really have a great performance again. He was 21 for 37, 208 yards, and he had 3 sacks. So doesn't really surprise me at this point in the season. I've been looking for him to turn it around a little bit. It just hasn't been a great season for the Eagles in general. On the rushing game, Miles Sanders had 85 yards. Boston got 63. The Eagles just couldn't put it together.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? The Giants beat the Eagles, but the Eagles are still in first place by a game and a half. 3-5-1. The Giants are 3-7. And then Washington's 2-7. They lost to the Lions off that last second field goal by Matt Prater. But I mean, wow. It's like incredible. I think I was listening to a podcast today. They were saying the winner of the NFC East could be 6-10 this year. That's crazy. That is crazy. And obviously in the playoffs anything can happen, but I think the Eagles really need to look at, I mean, every team in this division needs to kind of reassess what's going on, right? The Giants, I think they should move on from Daniel Jones. They might not. The Eagles, I think they just need more pieces on offense. They need better receiving depth. They need a lot of stuff, man. It's just so strange to see all four teams so bad in one division. I don't know. That it's just another thing in 2020 that's so odd. I don't even know what else to say about the NFC East. It's like they all these teams could use a rebuild right now. Honestly.
I mean, I feel like we've just kind of been saying the same thing each week. It's just not a good division, especially when you have interdivision games like the Eagles-Giants game. Just kind of shows, this isn't a competitive division. It's not really a team isn't really deserving of being in the playoffs, whoever that may be. It's not looking great for the end of the season. But I guess on a lighter note, let's talk about our own little power rankings, I guess. There have been a couple of teams that I think have surprised me this year. I guess to start off, to state the obvious, the Steelers, man. I mean, they are surprising me.
They're legit.
They're 9-0 right now, and that's pretty impressive. I didn't have them to be that dominant going into the season, but I think that ESPN got it right when they put them number one on the power rankings.
Of course. I mean, they're the only undefeated team. What else are you going to do, I mean, their defense is just remarkable. They have TJ Watt, Bud Dupree, all these guys. And, even though it's an offensive league, they're showing that defensive football is always going to be effective, so that's really nice to see. And the offense, they're solid, man. They always have good receivers. Juju, this new guy, Chase Claypool, Brendan Roethlisberger's playing pretty well. So they're just a super well-rounded team. They got the Chiefs second at 8-1. I think, in my opinion, I still think the Chiefs can take Pittsburgh. Their offense is just so otherworldly. They did lose to the Raiders that one time this year, but I do think that was more of an aberration than the norm. They've got the Packers here at number 3. I mean, all of these teams could be championship contenders. I'm still going with the Chiefs this year to repeat. What about you, Ray? Has your prediction changed at all?
I think I got to agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Chiefs are just a really good team. They're proven. It's not saying that the Steelers aren't capable of going all the way, but I just think that Kansas City has a better shot at it, especially with Mahomes as quarterback.
I think Mahomes has thrown one pick this year, if I'm not. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I believe that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really impressive. Jumping down a little bit to whom ESPN has ranked as number 8, the Cardinals. I think they're a really interesting team. Last year wasn't a great year for them, but they're sitting at 6-3 right now. Kyler Murray has proven to be a solid pickup for them. And I believe they had a really exciting win over the Bills this past week.
Yes.
But yeah, man, I think Cardinals are a really interesting team.
I'm glad you brought up the Bills game, because at the end of the game, right, this highlight was all over social media. Kyler Murray threw a Hail Mary to DeAndre Hopkins to win the game, right? But it wasn't just that it was a Hail Mary. The play was incredible. He rolls to his left and he throws across his body down the entire field. And DeAndre Hopkins jumps up and catches the ball over 3 defenders and gets the win. It's like these guys are just like aliens out there. I don't know how you're physically capable of this stuff. It's just crazy to watch. Definitely one of the best plays of the season by far. And yeah, I think the Cardinals are dangerous. I think they made the right decision by going with Kyler Murray over Josh Rosen. Obviously, it's easy to say that now, but Kyler Murray just brings so much. He brings so much speed and athleticism to the table. He's good at throwing the ball. I don't think they're gonna be a championship team this year, but I think going forward, if they keep building, I could see them winning the Super Bowl in the next few years. Absolutely. Same with the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. They're doing great, 7-3. I think they'll definitely win the AFC East. I mean, how about that? The Buffalo Bills winning the AFC East. How's that for something different in 2020? Now with Brady out of the division after 20 years. So I think there's a lot of bright young teams in the NFL, a lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of good young stars, and I'm excited for where the league is going.
Yeah, the league is definitely full of some young stars. And listen, I think I guess it's appropriate, now that whenever something unexpected happens, we can just kind of chalk it up to 2020.
Yeah,
With
pretty
this
much.
year being as it has been. But yeah, Bills are going to be an exciting team in the division. I think another team to note is the Dolphins.
Yep.
They're 6-3 right now. ESPN has them ranked number 13 in the league. So I think that's kind of also an interesting team to watch in the division.
Yeah, I mean, Tua, he came back from injury, before the last few weeks. I mean, when he was drafted, he was still hurt, rehabbing from the injury he got when he was with Alabama. And he's been great. I think they're 3-0 with him starting. And the thing is, Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing well too, but they, obviously they wanted to see their new guy up there, and he's been really performing. I'm happy for the Dolphins. Obviously I'm a Jets fan; they're a division rival, but I think it's just nice to see other teams besides the Patriots, doing well in the division. So that's really nice to see. And obviously, with the Jets probably getting Trevor Lawrence in the draft, all three of these teams, the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins, will all have some bright young quarterbacks to to look forward to, or to look forward to playing with. So it's really nice to see. Obviously, the Patriots, they're always going to be decent with Bill Belichick up there. I think Cam Newton's still a solid player. They just won against the Ravens this past Sunday night, which is really impressive, actually. So they're not out of it yet, but I do think that the Dolphins and Bills are much stronger teams right now. And that's amazing to say, that those two teams are better than the New England Patriots, the best dynasty that's sports ever seen. So how about that?
Looking ahead, the Patriots are going to be taking on the Texans. The Jets are going to be taking on the Chargers. Dolphins are going to be taking on the Broncos. So, we have a couple of interesting matchups coming up ahead. And also looking ahead to the NFC East, we have the Eagles and Browns. I think that that's going to be a game that, again, the Eagles are just not going to win. Browns aren't the best team in the world, but Eagles just aren't playing well right now. So that's my take on that.
The Browns, well, they're much improved as well. They're kind of like Rutgers, how like they were bad for so long and now they're finally being decent. Yeah, at Cleveland, it's winnable but not easy, because the Browns have a great rushing attack with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Then I'm just looking at the Eagles schedule here. They're hosting the Seahawks and Russell Wilson after the Browns. Then they're at Green Bay. Then they're playing the Saints, Cardinals, and then the two easy teams, Cowboys and Washington. I think the Eagles might lose all these games except for the last two. So that would give them 5 wins on the season, and that might win them the division. So yeah, we've talked about the NFC East enough already, but it's just incredible.
I don't know, man. Like, come on, guys.
Just come on, guys. What's going on?
Give us something, especially after this year, man. Give us a fun division to watch.
Well, the moral of the story is that the other divisions are doing fine, especially the AFC East, which was always seen as like the joke division besides the Patriots. Now it's everyone else. Well, no, not everyone. The Jets still suck, but the Dolphins and Bills are stepping it up now, and the Patriots are the ones that might not make the playoffs. So that's pretty interesting change there. Of course, across the league, you got Justin Herbert in LA for the Chargers doing well. So it's a lot of good situations in the league. It's good to see. Basically, everything outside the NFC East is fine and dandy.
Yeah. The league is definitely full of some young exciting players, like you said, with Justin Herbert. So I agree with you that there are definitely some bright points in the league, albeit not in the NFC East, but it's still, I guess, it's still fun to watch, especially with all this that's happened this year. But I think that wraps it up for today. So make sure you join us next time on Keeping Score with Josh and Ray, and make sure to follow the Daily Targum on Twitter, Facebook, and our YouTube for more content.